I'm so high on morphine right now, it's not even funny. And my butt itches. My butt crack itches. Hi, welcome to Morgan Through a Lens. I'm Morgan. If you're wondering where I am and why I'm not in my usual setup, it is because I'm currently on bed rest from a horseback riding injury. So here's my fancy bed. It's a hospital bed set up in my living room. So I'm gonna try to tell this story rather quickly because I don't want this video to be a million minutes long. And also I wrote a very in-depth blog post about the whole experience on my website, morganthroughalens.com, which will of course be linked below, as I'm sure you're used to me saying by now. If you want the full, in-depth, detailed story, check out my blog. The first part of this video is just gonna be me sitting here talking and explaining about the accident because I didn't take any photos or videos from the actual accident site. So if that bores you, I can put timestamps in, and then the actual footage from me in the hospital will begin at a certain time, which you can look in the description. Basically, on Friday, April 9th, I was horseback riding. If you've watched my other Week in the Life videos, you'll know that I horseback ride a few times a week. I was riding here on the farm. I was riding with my normal riding instructor who I ride with every single week and who basically taught me to ride like 9 or so months ago. So yeah, we went out to ride. I was feeling really confident, really energetic. The ride we do is about 4 kilometers, so we were probably 3 kilometers into the ride. I was feeling great. We had walked, trotted, cantered. We'd done it all, uphill, downhill, and I felt great. So we got towards the end of the ride, about 1 kilometer left. We were probably in between a canter and a gallop. We were going very fast, and my horse saw something out of the corner of her eye that made her spook, and she kind of jolted her body to the left and like jerked, and yeah, I just completely fell off. I remember as I was falling thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm about to fall because everyone had been telling me my entire riding experience that you're not a real rider until you fall, and I hadn't fallen yet. They were all like, you know, it's gonna happen eventually, and I knew that, and I had kind of been dreading the day when it was gonna happen because I knew it was gonna happen. That as I'm falling, I have this distinct memory of thinking, well, I guess this is it. I guess this is the time that I'm gonna fall. And I wasn't really that scared. I was like, okay, I guess I'm getting it over with. And yeah, I was like accepting of the fact. Once I hit the ground, that changed. I no longer felt that way. I hit the ground and I was just in agonizing pain. Just the most pain I've ever felt in my entire life. And I've gone through quite a few painful things. So I immediately start screaming for help, screaming for relief. I don't even know, just screaming. My riding instructor gets off his horse, comes over to me, and I'm like, help, you need to call someone, you need to call somebody. So he immediately calls the owner of the farm where we live, where I live and where he works and where the stables are and where the horses got, whatever. So he calls her. I had like the weirdest reaction to the pain. I just had this burning desire to move. So I started crawling. So I'm crawling and rolling and just trying to get into a position that felt somewhat comfortable. And my riding instructor was like, no, stop moving. And I was like, I can't, I have to move. My mom thinks it's because I had a really intense fight or flight reaction to the accident and that me wanting to crawl was my flight response kicking in. I also think it was because in my mind, I don't consciously remember thinking this, but I think subconsciously I thought, well, if I'm moving, then that means I'm not in so much pain. That means the injury is not as bad. And also, if I just keep moving, the pain will go away. Because, you know, when you like hit your funny bone or something, it feels like the absolute worst pain in the entire world. But if you just keep kind of moving it for a few seconds or minutes, then it goes away and you feel totally fine again. That's kind of what I was hoping would happen. So I was like, if I'm crawling, if I'm moving, then maybe the pain will go away. It did not. If you're wondering what happened to my horse after I fell off, I was also very curious. I remember in the moment thinking, where's Lady? But it was a very fleeting thought. I had other priorities in the moment. I found out only like a week later what had happened to her. That basically after I fell off, because we were going quite fast, so after I fell off, she kept kind of cantering or galloping, and then slowed to a walk, and then she walked herself back to the stables. I mean, can you just imagine? I laughed so hard when I found that out. I thought it was hilarious. I remember Alex found out before me because he was talking to my riding instructor. When Alex told me, he was like, I did not think you would have that reaction. He thought I'd be really sad. That lady like didn't care enough about me to stay for me when I fell. But no, I just thought it was hilarious. Just picture this. A horse in full kit, full getup, all riding gear, just like slowly walking herself back to her stable, like, you know, nothing to see here. I didn't do anything. Don't look at me. Back to me lying in the ground, whatever. I'm in pain. My riding instructor called for help. Help was on the way. I eventually did stop crawling and moving. I'm basically lying in the fetal position with like kind of on my right side because it's the only like semi-comfortable position that I could get in. I remember feeling the most intense amount of pain was in my lower back. It felt like my spine had been compressed, and I was really, really worried about spinal damage. So I remember asking my instructor, I would like wiggle my toes, and I was asking him like, can you see it? Are my toes moving? Are my toes moving? And you know, he kept reassuring me that they were, so that was really, really good sign. Help arrives, the lady who owns the farm and whatnot. She asked me if she should call Alex. Alex was actually out of town. He had left that morning. He was about 4 hours away for work. So I was like, no, don't call Alex, but call Val. Val's Alex's mom. So I remember her calling. The ambulance got called. A lot happened. All in all, it was 30 minutes from when the accident happened to when the ambulance arrived. Once the ambulance was there, a lot of other people started to show up. Our housekeeper, who's amazing, other people who worked on the farm. So there were about 10 people there overall. Alex's mom and her husband showed up. Yeah, so lots of people there as I'm like in agonizing pain, screaming my head off. I remember trying to be composed and polite because I know how easy it is to be mean to people when you're in pain. So I consciously tried to be as polite as I could and apologizing whenever I screamed too loudly and like thanking people. But anyway, as I said, it was about half an hour from when the accident happened to when the ambulance arrived, and then about another half an hour from when the ambulance arrived to when I was actually put in the ambulance. And the reason being is because I was in so much pain that they were really struggling to find a way to move me into the ambulance without just me being in so much pain. And also, the paramedics did do an initial assessment and found out that I most likely didn't have spinal cord damage, but I did have pelvic damage. So they wanted to move me in a way that wouldn't disrupt the pelvis. The half an hour between when the ambulance arrived and when I was put in the ambulance is all really just a blur. People were asking me where my house keys were so they could go collect, my ID and my phone from my house for me. I remember them trying to give me like morphine drops in my mouth, which didn't really do much. They did a little bit. And then they tried to give me a shot of morphine, and that was so painful. I think that's like the second most pain to the actual pelvic breaks, which I ended up having. And I remember screaming, "Get that out of me!" because it was so painful. It felt like the needle was touching my bone. It was so deep. And I remember asking, like, when is the adrenaline gonna kick in? Sometimes when you're in a severe amount of pain, the adrenaline kicks in and you don't feel like you're in pain. Yeah, I was just like, when is the adrenaline gonna kick in? And like, when am I gonna go unconscious? And I just desperately wanted to be unconscious. But I remember being told, it's a good thing that you're conscious. It's a good thing that you can feel pain. Like, this is all a good sign. So yeah, anyway, they eventually had to start a morphine drip in my hand to get me morphine because I just was too difficult of a patient, I guess. And then they used this like scoop device to scoop me. It goes, it's like a stretcher that's cut in half, and they scoop one half under your like left side and then one half under your right side, and they connect it in the middle. And that way they lifted me into the ambulance, and I got into the ambulance and I rode to the hospital. So it was another half an hour from our house to the hospital. So overall, from when the accident happened to when I arrived in the emergency room was about an hour and a half. I was taken to the emergency room. I saw a doctor. They did a brief exam. I got ordered CT scans because I was in so much pain they couldn't figure out a way to get me onto the table to do x-rays. I wasn't allowed any visitors in the ER. The morphine had kicked in by then, which was great. I was feeling high as a kite. It was lovely. I was taken to the CT scans. Val, Alex's mom, and her husband arrived at the hospital. They followed the ambulance, and I didn't get to see them because they weren't allowed in the ER. But as I was being wheeled from the CT scan room to back to the ER, I did get to chat with Val for a little bit. She had left a message for Alex, who I said was on a work trip and was out of cell service. I remember asking for water. I desperately wanted a drink of water. I was so thirsty, but everyone kept denying me water because they said I might need surgery, and then I had to have an empty stomach for surgery. The Doctor came out, he read my CT scans, and he told me I have 3 fractures in my pelvis. I would not need surgery, which was really fortunate, but I would need 6 weeks of complete and total bed rest. I wasn't shocked. I knew I would have broken pelvis. The amount of pain was so severe. I was like, if I hadn't broken something, I would have been shocked. I would have considered myself very weak. A really funny story, when I was in the ER, a doctor came in, not my main doctor, but another, I think he was a doctor or assistant, I don't know. I was so high on morphine at this point, but someone came in and said, we found out your tailbone's broken. There's a piece of your tailbone floating in your body that we need to surgically remove. And I was like, what? And I remember my doctor came in later and I was like, so what is this about my tailbone being broken and needing surgery? And the doctor said, oh, no, that person misread the CT scan. They thought your IUD was part of your tailbone. This is the first picture of me I took in the ER after the accident. I didn't take any picture or video during the accident or when I was, in the field on the ground because, well, I just didn't care. I was like in so much pain, it didn't occur to me. But once the morphine kicked in and I was in less pain, it did occur to me. I was like, should I take a picture of this? This is like a defining moment in my life. Maybe I want this as a memory. I don't know. But I also remember thinking, if I ask someone to take my picture right now, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I don't have my priorities in order. So I did not. I got a COVID test because I had to be admitted to the hospital and I needed a COVID test in order to know where to admit me. Were they going to admit me to the COVID-free wing of the hospital or the COVID positive wing of the hospital? But where they first took me while they were waiting for the results of the COVID test, they moved me from the ER to a small holding room. Someone's finally got a hold of Alex. He arrives. He gets to hang out for a few hours. I think the only reason he got to visit me was because he hadn't seen me since before the accident and because I hadn't gotten sent to the COVID-free wing yet or the COVID-positive wing yet. I was still in the holding area. I had no appetite. And as you can see in this video, I'm still in my riding clothes with a brace around my pelvis. When I was in the field, as they were trying to transfer me to the ambulance, they put a brace around my hips just to hold my pelvis in place while they were moving me. So that was still on me when I was in the hospital. I was disgusting. I was covered in dirt and sweat and grass, and Alex tried to brush my hair for me, and it was a very big fail. The next morning, my COVID test came back negative, so I was moved to the COVID-free wing of the hospital. Saturday was my first full day in the hospital. I don't really have a lot of memories from that day. I just remember FaceTiming a lot of people, FaceTiming my mom, my dad, my friends, being really high on morphine basically the whole time and just sleeping a lot, so. I'm so high on morphine right now, it's not even funny. And my butt itches. My butt crack itches. Hi. So I'm in the hospital. I fractured my pelvis in 3 places, so that's fun. Today is Sunday. The accident happened Friday morning, and I got to the hospital Friday, late morning. And yeah, I got out of the ER Friday afternoon, but I've been so out of it and so, I don't know, emotionally, physically, mentally drained that I haven't really wanted to talk or say anything. But now that I'm more settled in the hospital, I want to kind of document this process, just as a reminder. And I'm gonna start crying, so let's stop doing that. Okay. I'm trying to eat breakfast. Here's my breakfast setup. I have tomato and cheese sandwich, yogurt, tea. I don't know. I think that was it. I drank some of the orange juice. I've been having a really hard time eating. I have no appetite, but the pain meds make me really nauseous if I don't eat. At least that's what I think, because every time they give me pain meds, I get nauseous. But if I eat, then they make me less nauseous. I also haven't pooped since Thursday. So TMI, but that hasn't happened. And I'm really dreading for the time that does happen because I fractured my pelvis and I can only imagine how much it'll hurt to poop with a fractured pelvis. So let's see if I can show you where I fractured my pelvis. Okay, so wait, blocking you. Okay, so here's my pelvis. I fractured it here, and then on this side too in the back. So basically right front and 2 in the left back. Just to clarify, I have 2 breaks on my left side, the sacrum in zone 2 and the ischial tuberosity, and then on the right side I broke the name is something pubic, like your pubic bone, but I'll put the correct term here on the screen. The doctor showed me the CT scans yesterday. They didn't do an x-ray because I was in too much pain to maneuver onto like the x-ray thing. So they did the CT scan, and yeah, they're harder to interpret as a layperson like myself. But I did see the breaks that the doctor was pointing out. They had initially thought that I might have broken my tailbone as well, but my tailbone seems to be in good condition, which is very good. Yeah, I'm just in a lot of pain, and I have just been sleeping all day, and I have a catheter. I'm not going to show you that. Maybe I should, but yeah, I have a catheter because I can't walk. I can't do anything. I can't get up. I can't walk. I can't pee, so I have to use a catheter. I get sponge baths every morning. I'm really just living the dream. If you guys are interested what I did every day when I was in the hospital for 6 days, I wrote kind of my everyday schedule in my blog post, which I will link in the description. The hardest part, and I'm just gonna talk about this really briefly because I'm gonna cry, is that I can't have any visitors. So Alex came the first day, and Alex's mom was with me when the accident happened, but yeah, I haven't seen anyone in like a day and a half, I guess, just by myself here, which sucks. I'm hoping I'll be able to go home on Monday or Tuesday, and then my mom flies in and she arrives on Wednesday, and yeah. And then 6 weeks of bed rest. That's gonna be a bummer. But anyway, also my hair. Oh my God. Yeah, it's a rat's nest. Oh my gosh. Because when I fell off the horse, I fell into like dirt and grass, and yeah. The water's brown. You guys could be like hairstylists in another life. Let's see. Oh, beautiful. Awesome. I'm finally bathed, and I managed to wash my hair. Oh my God, it is such a good feeling to have clean hair. I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm trying really hard to wean off the morphine so that I can go home, because I can't go home if I'm still relying on morphine, because I can't take morphine at the house. So I'm trying really hard to like focus on the, I don't know, just so out of it. And in case you're wondering, it is Sunday night and I still haven't pooped since Thursday. Yeah. That's gonna be a bitch, because a broken pelvis in 3 spots means, well, it can only mean one thing with pooping. Okay, I'm a bit delirious. I switched from watching stuff on my phone to reading because I thought it would, I don't know. I just felt like I was staring at my phone too long. Anyway, that's my update. I'm clean. I'm so happy. Okay, so Sunday night was really, really rough for me. As I had mentioned before, this is maybe TMI, but I hadn't pooped since Thursday. So Sunday, the doctors basically were like, you have to poop. And they gave me they had been giving me a bunch of stool softener, and yeah, it happened. But because of my catheter, I felt like I couldn't. Anyway, it's a whole thing. There's more details on my blog if you want to read it. I was so lonely, so tired, so drained, so drugged up, just like feeling so many different emotions. I broke down. I didn't really film a lot of me crying in the hospital. I cried a lot in the hospital, but I didn't film a lot of it because I just didn't, I don't know, you don't like think to film yourself when you're having an emotional breakdown, but this was the one time I was like, I was over it. So anyway, I did film it. I'm in so much pain and I'm so scared. I think that experience was really traumatic for me, and I felt so just awful that Monday I didn't film anything in the hospital. Okay, update. I'm feeling a lot better pain-wise, but I got a UTI. Yay. Most likely from my catheter that I had that I no longer have. I'm over the catheter. I'm done. Not using it anymore. Was not a fan. So I had the catheter for about 2.5 days, and then they took it. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Okay, back to my story. God, my hair. Can you guys? This is too much for bedridden Morgan. Okay. So back to my catheter story. I had the catheter for 2.5 days. I got it on Friday night, and then Friday afternoon, and then Sunday night well, how much detail do I want to go into about this? Okay, I had to poop finally after not having pooped since Thursday because I got into my accident at 8 a.m. on Friday and I hadn't pooped in that morning. So yeah, so I had to poop, and okay, as a girl, maybe guys don't experience this. I asked Alex, but girls experience this. When you poop, you pee. Like, you can't control. The muscles are kind of the same, and like when you start pushing out poop, like you push out pee sometimes, right? And you can't like poop without peeing, really, unless your bladder is like completely empty. So I'm trying to push out poop, and I'm like, feel like I'm pushing out my catheter, and I feel like pee's like spewing out the sides of the catheter, and it was disgusting and painful, like, because I'm pushing out this like balloon that's inside my bladder, and I was like, I'm over it. And so they pulled out the catheter. That was not fun, and I did my business, and yeah, they tried to put the catheter back in, and it was excruciating. When I got the catheter on Friday, like right after my accident, it wasn't that painful, and I was on morphine, so that probably helped, but it was just excruciating when they did it on Sunday night. It was like someone was like putting a lit match up my urethra, or like a thorn. Like, I don't know, it was just so painful. So I was like, this, get that shit out of me. And they took it out, and I cried, and I got a UTI. So anyway, that's that. Okay, it's like Tuesday at 4 o'clock. My main concerns right now are nausea. I'm so nauseous all the time, and I have no appetite. And the stuff I do want to eat, either can't get access to, or they're like not feeding it to me. They did give me fruit when I asked for fruit, but like a donut would be great. And I have no donut. So yeah, so super nauseous, no appetite, UTI, fun, and a little bit of pelvis pain, but like really super manageable, especially considering that I've really weaned off a lot of the pain meds. Last night sucked. Last night was Monday night, and it sucked because I was getting like the starts of the UTI, and also I was given medication to help me poop, and it just caused me to like cramp up so painfully. And then I got medication to help ease the pain of the cramping that was caused from the medication that was supposed to help me poop, and I got so nauseous from the pain medicine, so then they had to give me anti-nausea medicine. So basically, like, I was just on all the medicine and feeling, if you can tell, I don't talk a lot when I'm in the hospital, so now that I'm talking, it is exhausting. Anyway, so yeah, I'm feeling better today. I think when we can get the UTI fixed and the nausea in control, I think that will be a game changer. I also wanted to mention that I have a lot of numbness around my pelvis area, so excuse the fact that I'm in a diaper, but you know, life's life. yes, my leg is bent. The doctor said it was okay, don't judge me. This part of my leg right here is like pretty numb. And that's crazy because it's not even like directly where the pelvis is. So, I don't know. Oh my God, every time. So, it is day 6 in the hospital. My IV, I just did this to show you my IV, is really starting to hurt. I just think it's been jostled and touched, and I keep hitting it on things, so that's really starting to hurt. I have a UTI, so that's no fun. Last night was my first night sleeping without IV drugs, and I got like a couple hours late, maybe. I'm feeling really anxious. I don't know. I found out that Alex and my mom get to come at 3:30 today to do like a class about how to take care of patients with pelvic fractures, because there's another patient on the floor of this hospital with a pelvic fracture. I hope I get to see them. So my mom lands at like 2 something, and then she has to go through immigration and everything, and then the like class is at 3:30. So yeah. Okay. So basically, like, there are moments when I am really at peace with the accident and really at peace with what happened, and I think, oh, 6 weeks is gonna fly by and I get to go home tomorrow, and then it'll be smooth sailing and this UTI is gonna go away, and then like it'll be 6 weeks before you know it, and you're already 5 days into the 6 weeks, so basically 5 weeks. And anyway, there are times when I feel that way, and then there are times when I feel really overwhelmed and daunted. Daunted? Can you feel daunted? Or do you feel... Anyway, or I just feel like, 6 weeks of bed rest is so daunting, and I just feel like not leaving bed, literally not leaving the bed to even pee or do anything for 6 weeks is really daunting and scary, and it makes my like heart pound in my chest, and I like want to bawl my eyes out, and I do a lot. So as you guys can tell from these clips, the hardest part of my hospital stay was definitely the mental aspect and the mental pain of just being by myself for 6 days without any of my friends or family with me. So that was definitely the most challenging part, and definitely why I was so excited to go home. After being put on antibiotics for a UTI and just feeling like I had the absolute worst UTI in the world, the morning of my discharge, so Thursday morning, the doctor came in and told me that I do not have a UTI, and in fact, what I have is something called neurogenic bladder. So basically, in my very layman's understanding, when I got into the accident and broke my pelvis, there was a lot of swelling from the breaks and just from the accident. The swelling caused temporary damage to my nerves. I think basically the swelling like compressed the nerves, and those nerves caused some sciatica pain and a lot of issues with my bladder. So I had trouble holding my urine, basically, and starting and stopping the flow and all these other things. So on the day of my discharge from the hospital, I had to get a catheter put back in. I had to have 2 weeks of the catheter with turning the catheter or blocking the catheter every 2 hours and unblocking it to retrain my bladder how to work after the accident. But I can get into that in my next video about being home from the hospital.
Hard to find what is true. Faded lines. Then there's you. Wildfire hearts. Spinning lights. Greatest art. Brilliant skies. If I don't believe I just wanna love you well.
I hope you enjoyed this video about my accident and my hospital stay. At least I hope it was more enjoyable than the actual accident and hospital stay. If you guys are interested, I plan on uploading some more videos about my bed rest and recovering from pelvic fractures while at home, turning 29 on bed rest. So lots of videos to come if you're interested. If you guys want to keep more up to date, my Instagram is where I've been posting lots of updates in real time, so you can check that out in the description. I've also tried to post on TikTok, so you can check that out. And of course, my blog posts at morganthroughalens.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Whoa,